Here are 6 great new co-op and multiplayer games coming in August. Whisper Mountain Outbreak is set in 1998, and honestly, it feels like a throwback to the PlayStation 1 era of survival horror. We played the demo, and the vibe is spot on. Grainy textures, fog everywhere, and that constant feeling something is about to go very wrong. At the start of each run, you pick a randomized class, and you'll have to make the most out of what little gear and ammo you find. A built-in proximity voice chat also adds to the tension, especially when your group is low on supplies and panic starts to set in. Whether you play solo or in a team of up to 4, you'll scavenge weapons, solve puzzles, and try to survive together. That last part's important because wandering off on your own is usually a quick way to get eaten. There are 8 mission types set across randomized layouts, and the game leans more into strategic survival and puzzle solving than jump scares. It's clearly inspired by classic Resident Evil and Silent Hill, with a modern co-op twist. And even in 2.5D, the monsters still manage to be properly creepy. This next game sends you under the sea, and while you might be expecting a Little Mermaid type of underwater scenario, not this time. Abyssus is a brine-punk roguelite FPS, a term I didn't even know existed, but here we are. And where Ariel has Flounder, Sebastian, and a fork, I guess, you can bring up to 3 friends in online co-op to mod weapons, clear levels, and power up with blessings from the sea gods. When we tried the demo, which is still up by the way, the shooting felt great, though it takes a bit of getting used to, since you carry 2 guns, one on the left mouse button, the other on the right. But blasting ancient sea creatures with 8 different weapons is fun enough. And if you love weapon customization, you're in for a treat. The meta progression system means each dive actually matters, as you unlock gear and abilities for future runs. There will be 64 handcrafted levels, which are procedurally sequenced to offer variety. That said, if you're someone who needs a lot of visual diversity, they might still feel a bit repetitive. But at least they are staying true to the brine-punk style. And honestly, we can't deny it all looks super atmospheric. If you've been craving some classic RTS action, but that late Warcraft 3 remaster didn't really scratch the itch, check out The Scouring, an indie RTS with a twist. By day, you play the classic Orcs vs. Humans strategy, building your bases, managing resources, and raising an army to fight dynamic battles. So far, so familiar. But the twist is, by night, you have to defend your bases against waves of the undead. And on top of that, there's a hero system, but not as flat as in Warcraft. More like you are the hero, clearing dungeons and action combat. On the multiplayer front, you can play team skirmishes, ranked matches, or free-for-alls for up to 8 players. Of course, you can also forge alliances in custom PvE matches or dive into user-generated modes from the Steam Workshop. Visually, it looks clean and modern, with a charming indie touch. Dying Light: The Beast is not just a game we've been excited to play for years, but also one we had to strategically plan around. Just include it on the channel without getting age restricted. Because if you know the Dying Light games, you also know this isn't exactly all rainbows and sunshine. It's about as family-friendly as Happy Tree Friends is suited for kids. In The Beast, we finally return to Kyle Crane, the hero of the first Dying Light. After being experimented on in a mad scientist's lab for 13 years, he breaks free. And he's out for revenge. And now, he's not just armed with weapons and godlike parkour agility anymore. Nope, he's also got a beast mode, complete with heightened senses and superhuman powers. This time, the setting shifts away from suburban Haran to the wilderness of Custer Woods, with dense forests and abandoned cabins, giving players even fewer places to hide. The Beast marks a return to the horror that made the first game so good. Expect more focus on survival again, rather than the more action-heavy feel of Part 2. Scarcer ammo, darker nights, and more dangerous zombies. That's also where the co-op for up to 4 players comes in. All with shared progression and, yes, the return of vehicles to mow down the hordes together. We're super excited for The Beast. Whether it's the continued story around Kyle or the mix of familiar and new mechanics, we expect this to be one of the best horror survival games of the year. Gears of War Reloaded is, as the name suggests, a remaster of the 2006 Xbox 360 exclusive. And we don't always include remasters here, but this one's got not just one good argument, but at least two. For one, the original game was deemed a must-play by critics, with a Metascore of a whopping 94, putting it right up there with titles like God of War and The Last of Us. And let us just take in this hilarious review from Team Xbox that we found on Metacritic for the 2006 version. If it looked that next-gen back then, how next-gen is the remaster gonna be? Secondly, for the first time, Gears of War is not just coming to PC and Xbox, but also to PlayStation. With full 4K HDR and 60 to 120 FPS, depending on the game mode. And if you need even more incentives, there are no loading screens during the campaign, and the game comes with all maps and DLCs included and available from the start. You can play through the campaign in 2-player split screen or online co-op, and there's an 8-player PvP mode on top. Viva la nostalgia! So far, you're probably more familiar with running through dungeons and killing all the monsters. But have you ever thought about who's cleaning up after your messes? Well, of course, there's a cleaning staff. And now you and your friends can experience firsthand what it's like to mop up monster remains, reset traps, and refill treasure chests just before the next group of heroes barges in. So, put on your maid outfits, yes of course we're doing this in style, and set out to feed the monsters, or they will eat you instead. As for the traps still laying around, just don't step on them and you're good. You can bring along 3 more employees in online co-op, because work is always nicer when enjoyed with others. There's a demo still available on Steam, so you can already try out what it feels like to be devoured by a mimic disguised as a treasure chest. Fun times! But that's all for August. Have fun out there in co-op with your favorite people, and we will see you again in the next one.